For decades, the United States has stood as the world's dominant superpower. Every year, nearly $1 trillion fuels its military machine. Over 1.3 million active duty soldiers, more than 13,000 aircraft controlling the skies, and a navy so powerful it is considered the largest and most advanced force ever assembled in human history. Cyber weapons, drones, satellites, surveillance systems, radar in every domain of modern warfare. America's arsenal stands unmatched. The most advanced, the most lethal, the most powerful war machine ever built. Yet today, a question echoes across the world. If America and Israel possess overwhelming military superiority, why are they struggling to force victory against Iran? Why, despite unmatched power, are ceasefire talks even being discussed? Which, by the way, Iran itself denies. Yes, Iran is also being bombed relentlessly, civilians are dying, cities are under attack, and one by one, Iran's top military and political leaders are being eliminated. But here is the real question. Iran does not possess America's cutting edge technology. It does not have Israel's intelligence dominance. And compared to Washington or Tel Aviv, Iran simply does not have that kind of money or military resources. So, how is a country with fewer advantages still standing, still fighting, and refusing to surrender? A nation that has lived under crushing sanctions for decades. A country whose entire defense budget is not even 2% of America's military spending. And yet, in just a few weeks, Iran has managed to shock the very system built to dominate modern warfare. America's billion-dollar weapons pushed back, its expensive military assets forced to operate from a distance. What has unfolded over the past weeks may be redefining how wars are fought in the 21st century. Around the world, military strategists are watching carefully, rewriting doctrines, updating battle theories, preparing for a new era of conflict. With every passing week, the perception of American military supremacy faces new questions. Massive naval strike groups, the most powerful aircraft carriers ever built. Yet today, even these floating fortresses appear cautious near Iranian waters. Dozens of advanced drones reportedly lost. Radar networks and air defense strength across the Middle East facing serious challenges. And now comes the moment that has captured global attention. For the first time ever, a country claims to have struck what was once considered untouchable: the world's most advanced stealth fighter jet, the F-35, designed to be invisible to radar, a development that, if true, signals that modern warfare itself may be entering an entirely new chapter. Now, facing pressure from multiple directions, America appears to be approaching a dangerous crossroads: the possibility of sending troops onto the battlefield itself. Reports in US media suggest that thousands of American soldiers have been moved closer to the conflict zone. Speculation grows about a potential ground offensive near Iran's strategic Karg island. But history has shown one thing clearly: ground wars come with a heavy price. If such an operation begins, lives will be lost, American and Iranian alike. At the center of the storm stands President Donald Trump, deeply entangled in the Iran crisis, unable to fully escalate, yet unable to withdraw with clear victory. Observers say Washington's strategy appears uncertain. One moment victory is declared, the next new attacks are threatened. Allies are told to stay away from a war said to be already won, only to be asked for support hours later. And now, a striking shift in tone. Instead of escalation, a temporary pause is proposed. a 10-day window without attacks. Just days ago, there were warnings about strikes on critical infrastructure. Today, restraint is suddenly being discussed. Why? Because many analysts believe prolonged ballistic exchanges could destabilize not only Israel but the entire Gulf region. The situation has become one of the most fascinating strategic puzzles of modern geopolitics. How did a superpower armed with the most expensive military technology in history find itself under such pressure? And an even bigger question emerges. How did Iran, a nation widely considered weaker in technology, resources, and global influence, manage to challenge that dominance? How were advanced aircraft reportedly threatened by older defense systems? How were powerful naval strike groups forced to reconsider their positions? Is this the rise of a new kind of warfare, where low cost asymmetric weapons challenge high tech military superiority? And ultimately, if money, technology, and military size do not guarantee victory anymore, then what truly decides the wars of the future? So, the real question is, how did America fall so far behind in this conflict? That is exactly what we will uncover in today's Smart Shah special deep dive. Just 2 weeks ago, sitting inside the White House, President Donald Trump declared what he called a decisive victory. According to him, Iran's air defense systems had been completely destroyed. He claimed the situation inside Iran had deteriorated so badly that American fighter jets could fly freely through Iranian airspace without resistance. No interceptions, no retaliation, no challenge. In his words, America had achieved total air dominance. Just hours after Trump's bold declaration on March 19, Iran released a video, not bragging, not propaganda, a video showing that an American F 35 stealth fighter jet had been directly hit, the same jet that the US sells to allies for massive sums, proudly claiming it is the world's most advanced combat aircraft. And now, for the first time, the truth is out. The F 35 was successfully targeted in an active war zone. A historic moment. The US confirmed the jet made an emergency landing at a nearby base, damaged with the pilot alive. Yet, even after days, no official images of the jet have been released. Its exact condition or even existence remains uncertain. Imagine a jet designed to be invisible, an airborne stealth cloak. America spent billions on research and development, $100 million to build a single F 35 manufacturing costs alone, and yet it was struck by a defense system the US had claimed was destroyed, a system Iran used to detect, track, and launch a missile successfully. For America, this is perhaps the most embarrassing moment of the conflict so far. So, the pressing question, how did Iran do it? It wasn't China, it wasn't Russia, it was Iran. To understand this, we need to examine how the F 35's stealth technology actually works. Designed to remain invisible to enemy radar and electromagnetic detection, the F 35's body is designed for stealth, special shapes, radar absorbing materials. Almost invisible to conventional radar, radar sees a confusing bird like silhouette. But radar isn't the only way to track aircraft. This is where strategy and ingenuity come into play. Iran deployed an electro optical infrared EOIR sensor system to detect the F 35. This system doesn't look for electromagnetic waves, it detects heat signatures. No matter how stealthy a jet is, its engine produces intense heat, and wherever there's heat, EOIR systems can see it. Once the jet was detected, experts believe Iran used a modified Russian R 27T air to air missile, infrared guided, capable of speeds up to Mach 5, 5 times the speed of sound, nearly impossible for any aircraft to evade. 30 years old missile modified from the 1990s, successfully targeting a $1 trillion F-35 program. And the story doesn't end there. Days later, Iran released another video claiming it intercepted an F-15 jet near the Strait of Hormuz. According to Iranian sources, the jet had violated Iranian airspace and was tracked by their air defense system before being targeted with a surface to air missile. The US Central Command has so far denied any F 15 losses, calling the claim a rumor. But if verified, this would mark the fourth F 15 to fall in this conflict, a further blow to American air dominance. Earlier this month, at the very start of the conflict, three F 15 fighter jets were reportedly shot down. EUS sources labeled it a friendly fire incident. You can even Google it in which war were three American jets downed by friendly fire. If you find credible sources, do share, it's worth seeing. But there's one part of the story where there's no rumor, no doubt the MQ-9 Reaper drones. America's drones have flown into the spotlight, but their real story in this war often gets overlooked. On one side, Iran deployed cheap, effective Shahed drones, small, affordable, yet a serious nuisance for the US military. Reportedly lost around 12 MQ-9 Reaper drones, most shot down by Iran. Do the math. 12 drones, 60 million each, which totals roughly $2 million in losses. All this by a country whose air force, according to Trump, had been destroyed. A country supposedly stripped of air defenses, a nation where the US claimed it had complete aerial dominance. Critics in the US had warned about these drones for years. By 2020, the Air Force halted production, saying they were too slow, non stealthy, and ineffective against advanced opponents. Even Iran, certainly not a high tech drone superpower, has proven those critics right. These high tech Reapers are falling without advanced counter weapons. Jets or drones, Iran isn't hesitating to strike. With every hit, America's claims of air superiority are being exposed. And while this unfolds, Donald Trump sits in the White House talking proudly about the B 2 bomber, a reminder that money and hype cannot replace real world results. Look, the US has stealth bombers, a class of aircraft no other nation possesses, a symbol of American dominance. Yet, watching Iran operate these past weeks, one fact becomes undeniable. Even Trump's prize toys could be at risk. Now, let's shift from the skies to the seas. Here, America's embarrassment may be even greater than in the air. The US Navy is hailed as the most powerful navy in the world. It projects American power wherever needed, sending carrier strike groups to any hotspot. Before this conflict, the Trump administration deployed two carrier strike groups to the Middle East: USS Abraham Lincoln, USS Gerald R. Ford. Alongside them, the amphibious assault ship USS Tripoli was also dispatched. A carrier strike group isn't just a ship, it's an entire floating air base, a massive aircraft carrier, several destroyers, submarines, and thousands of sailors. One carrier can carry as much air power as the entire air force of a small country. And yet, in the past 3 weeks, Iran forced the US to withdraw not one but both carriers. Take the USS Gerald R. Ford, the newest, largest nuclear powered aircraft carrier in the US Navy. Construction cost $13 billion, touted as the largest warship on the planet. On March 12, a fire broke out in its laundry room. A fire severe enough to take 30 hours to extinguish, forcing 600 crew members out of their bunk beds to sleep on floors and tables. The Ford was then sent to a US Navy base in Greece for repairs removed from the front line entirely. And the question that remains, how does a state of the art nuclear powered aircraft carrier, a symbol of modern military power, suffer such a debilitating incident during wartime? According to the New York Times, morale aboard the USS Gerald R. Ford was already low. Deployment extensions had kept thousands of sailors at sea for over 10 months, and now they were thrown into the middle of a new war, unsure when they would return home. Some analysts speculate that the laundry room fire may have been deliberate, a way for exhausted sailors to end their mission and return. Iran had no direct role here. The US Navy is exposing its own vulnerabilities. Meanwhile, the story of the USS Abraham Lincoln grows even more striking. In the early days of the war, Iran claimed multiple times that it targeted the Lincoln with ballistic missiles, causing damage. The US dismissed these claims, insisting its multi layered defenses kept the carrier safe. They insisted flights and fighter operations continued unhindered. Yet, independent reports reveal a different picture. After the initial conflict, the carrier group was pulled back 1,000 kilometers from Iran's coast out of fear of Iranian strikes. Even now, the group does not dare venture close. This alone shows that the world's most powerful navy is wary, even afraid of Iran's drones and missiles. Perhaps the era of massive aircraft carriers is coming to an end. All the damage we've just discussed has been denied or downplayed by the US, but the reality is clear. America has suffered a humiliating setback at sea, a wound deeper than even the loss of an F 35. This conflict has shattered America's grip on the region and shaken the security of its allies. For years, the US deployed THAAD and Patriot missile defense systems across the Middle East, some of the most advanced and expensive air defense systems in the world. A single THAAD battery cost $800 million. A Patriot missile interceptor, $3 to $4 million each. They were designed to stop ballistic missiles from countries like Iran as a supposed shield for the region. But within the first 2 weeks of the war, Iranian strikes inflicted billions in damage, crippling these defenses. Even the best air defense could not protect US bases, assets, or allies from Iran's missiles and drones. Today, Iran can strike Israel and Gulf nations almost at will because America's eyes, its radars, have been destroyed. Consider this: in the midst of the war, the US had to import Patriot systems from East Asia to try to plug the gaps. Even then, halting Iranian missile attacks seemed unlikely. Experts warn that if the conflict continues, Iran's missiles may have free rein, striking targets at will. In the early days, Iran destroyed the AN/FPS-132 radar, a system capable of scanning a 5,000 kilometers radius, costing $1 billion. No one knows when or if the US can replace it. Now you see why Donald Trump is seeking peace, why he is pushing for reconciliation, why he unilaterally declared a 10 days pause in attacks. Because if Iran continues its offensive, American defenses are incapable of stopping strikes even on Tel Aviv. Bombs could fall and there would be nothing to stop them. That's why Donald Trump is now conceding, saying, okay, we won't attack for the next 10 days, give us peace. But Iran has repeatedly rejected America's ceasefire proposal. Their message is clear: we want America out of the Gulf. Until that happens, we don't even want to talk. After decades of perceived betrayals, Iran refuses negotiations. Trump's 10-day pause is a peace offering, but it's also a sign of reality sinking in. By the fourth week of the war, it became obvious. America had no coherent plan, not at the start, not in the middle, and not for the end game. There's an English saying, a sword is only as good as the man who wields it. You can have the most advanced weapons, the most powerful army, but if the commander lacks vision, they achieve nothing. America may have the deadliest arsenal, but without effective leadership, it falters. The commander in chief himself seems unsure of the strategy, the goals, or the ultimate purpose of the war. From February 28th, when the conflict began, it became clear. America's war objectives were vague, undefined, and directionless. Who exactly were they fighting for? What was the purpose? No one knows. And yet, Iran accomplished all of this. Even American analysts admit it. Today, Iran demonstrates more focus, discipline, and planning than America. Perhaps this is their secret weapon, the combination of focus, discipline, and strategy. They've successfully downed America's high tech weapons, bent the world's most powerful army to their will. Donald Trump may have commanded the best equipped army on the planet, but Iran's careful planning, patience, and precise execution show that strategy and discipline can triumph over sheer firepower. With this approach, Iran knows it can prolong the war and continue reshaping the balance of power. Meanwhile, the US is desperate to find a way to end this conflict to salvage what little remains of its credibility. But the real question is, after this pause, will Iran even be willing to talk? Iran has made one thing abundantly clear. America has negotiated with us before. We made concessions, and then you eliminated our leadership. Will Iran negotiate this time? Or will Donald Trump continue waving the white flag while Iran presses forward with its own strategy? The stakes are high. If the opportunity is missed now, neither America nor Israel will easily let it pass in the future. A moment to step back, reflect, and perhaps find a solution. One thing is certain, America's arrogance has taken a hit in this war. The landscape of power in the Middle East is being rewritten before our eyes.